to Dunder Data Python challenge number 19. You can take all of the challenges at python.dunderdata.com. So this one is quite easy. You're going to determine the area of a triangle with given base and height. So you need to know the formula for the area of a triangle with base and height. And it's simply just base times height divided by 2. And that'll give us the solution. All right, so that does it for number 19. Welcome to Dunder Data Python challenge number 20. You can take all of the challenges at python.dunderdata.com. So in this challenge, given the numerical value of a minute hand of a clock, return the number of degrees assuming a circular clock. So this is something we just did. It's very simple. We just multiply the input times 6. But the important part here is we're going to raise a value error for values less than 0 or greater than 59. So here we're going to have to check that the user has inputted a valid number of minutes. So just to get the correct portion of this, whenever there is a valid minute, we're just going to multiply this by 6. That'll give us the degrees. But we have to check the input. So if n is less than 0 or n is greater than 59, so that's what it says, it must be an integer between 0 and 59. Then we will raise a value error, and here we can just say whatever we want. N must be between 0 and 59. The message doesn't have to be precise. We're just checking that it has raised a value error. Let's go ahead over here and let's pass in 99. All right, so we get our value error. That's good. And this will test that we do get an exception and that we also get it right whenever we get a valid entry. All right, so that does it for number 20. Welcome to Dunder Data Python challenge number 21. You can take all of the challenges at python.dunderdata.com. So in this challenge, double a given integer if it is odd and triple it if it is even. You can do this in one line. So we're given this number n. We're going to double it if it is odd. So if n divided by or modular 2 is equal to 1. So this tests if the remainder is 1. Otherwise, we will triple it. So we use this ternary operator in Python. So we have the expression if it is true on the left. We have the condition with the if statement in the middle. And then we have the statement if it is false. So let's go ahead and test this out. So this is odd. If it is even, it'll triple it. Okay, good. Let me just verify there for correctness. All right, so that's how you do number 21. Welcome to Dunder Data Python challenge number 22. You can take all of the challenges at python.dunderdata.com. So in this challenge, we're going to return the last character of the given string. This one is one of the easiest challenges. Get the string, and we just get the last character using a negative indice. So -1. I'll get the last one. So Python, the last character is n, and we verify there. Okay, so that's number 22. Welcome to Dunder Data Python challenge number 23. You can take all of the challenges at python.dunderdata.com. So in this challenge, given a string, return each character as an item in a list. This is actually quite simple. The list constructor, if you pass it in a string or any iterable, it'll go one by one through that iterable and convert each item in that iterable to an item in a list. So if we have a string s, each character is the like each item in that string, and so this will do it. Just pass a string to the list constructor, and you will get a list of each character as an item in that list. We just verify there. Okay, so that does it for number 23. Welcome to Dunder Data Python challenge number 24. You can take all of the challenges at python.dunderdata.com. So in this challenge, given an integer, return the sum of its digits. So there are a couple ways of solving this. I'm going to show you one way where we convert the integer first to a string, that makes it iterable, so we can iterate through each one of the characters in the string, and each character is now one of those digits as a string. So let me show that first. So I'm going to create a list comprehension and of this string. So here's the string of that integer. I'm just going to iterate through and look at each and get each individual character as a one element or one character string. So I've created a string and iterating through it and just retrieving that single character. Now I don't want it as a string. I need to convert it back to an integer like this. So now I have what I want, and then I can sum this up like so. So that's great. Turns out I don't need to create a list first. I can just use this, pass this directly into the sum function. So this is a generator expression, and it will just supply the sum function one at a time, the values upon needed. I don't have to create the whole list first and then pass that list into sum. This is a one-step shop, so this is a good solution. You can actually remove the for loop if you know about the map function. So here is map, and I'll say I want to map the integer function to each item in this iterable. So each item is a one character digit string. So that will replace the for loop, and then I can just pass this sequence into the sum function and get it like that. All right, so that completes number 24. Welcome to Dunder Data Python Challenge number 25. Take all of the challenges at python.dunderdata.com. All right, so we're going to be splitting the given string every third character and returning a list of the substrings. The last string might have 1, 2, or 3 characters. Let's look over here at the sample data. So we were passed in some string, and for every third character, we just want to split. So right after C, right after F, right after I. So this is what we want to get. The last one over here just has just 1 because there's not a full 3, so that's fine. So we're going to somehow iterate through here and figure out these split points. So what we can do here is we'll use a list comprehension. And so here's our string. So let's go ahead and let's just find the character at a particular position. So say S of I for I in range. So we want the starting position to be at the very beginning, then at 3, then at 6, and so forth. So the range function allows us to provide a start, stop, and step value. So we want to step by 3, and we're going to start at 0. We're going to go all the way to the end of the string, so length of S, and we will step by 3. So I will go 0, 3, 6, 9, 12, and so forth. So let's just see if we get that character. So it looks like, yeah, A, D, G, and J. That looks good. We don't want just that character. We want the next couple of characters. So we're going to say we're going to slice from that character through the third character in front of it, and that should get us what we want. Okay, and then we'll test for correctness, and everything looks good. All right, so that's how you do number 25. Welcome to Dunder Data Python Challenge number 26. Take all the challenges at python.dunderdata.com. So in this challenge, you're going to sort digits in the given integer from greatest to least and return an integer. Let's go ahead and look at the input. So here we have this integer. We're going to just sort all these digits and then return that integer from greatest to least. So I think the easiest way to do this is to convert this to a string, sort all the characters, and then convert it back to an integer. Okay, so what we can do here is first we can just convert this to a string. And then there's a built-in sorted function that you can pass in an iterable, and it always returns a list sorted. So whatever you pass in, it'll return a list. So it'll go through each one of these characters in the string and sort it. Let's go ahead and do that so we can see how this works. So that's great. We need to sort it in reverse order. So there's a reverse parameter here. And we will say set that equal to true. So that looks good. Now we just need to concatenate all these together. And there's a string method called join. So I'm going to create an empty string here, and I will call the join method on it like this. So that string will join together all items in this iterable. So this is a list, and it'll join them by this character here. Here is just an empty string. If you use like a plus sign, it'll just insert in that in between, but we don't want anything. We just want it to be nothing, so we're going to use the empty string. And the last thing to do is just convert this whole thing back into an integer, and there we have the solution. All right, so that does it for number 26. Welcome to Dunder Data Python Challenge number 27. You can take all of the challenges at python.dunderdata.com. So notice this is worth 2 points, so it's going to be harder. Convert the given integer to Roman numerals. Use M for 1000, D for 500, and so forth. And then use a format such that numerals are ordered from greatest to least, i.e. to represent the number 19, use XVIII and not XIX. So the numerals are ordered from greatest to least. Both of these formats are valid. You typically see the one on the right, but for this problem, we're going to use the format on the left, where they are all ordered from greatest to least. You need to use the least number of numerals possible, and then the maximum value is 5,000. All right, so I think the first thing to do is create a dictionary of mapping the Roman numeral value to the actual value that we use. And I had this in memory, or I had already copied this, and this will help us out. So what we'll do here is we're going to iterate through each one of these items in the dictionary. So we'll just say the numeral and then the value. So we're going to iterate through each the keys and the values over here in numerals.items. So dictionaries are now ordered in Python 3.7 and above, so we know that it will go through here in the order that we created in. So that's very helpful for this problem. And then we're going to determine, so we're going to start with the largest. That's very important. So we're going to see how many thousands can go into this. And we're going to use our div mod function. So we'll say n, right? So here's n. We'll say how many of these values, so this is, right, so how many thousands go into here. And this will be, all right, so we'll use this count. It returns the div mod returns the quotient and the remainder. So count and the whatever is left over will be the not the new value, will be the new n. So say this is 49.99. So 1,000 goes into 49.99. That'll be n. It'll go into it 4 times. So we're going to use the count will be 4, and then n will be what's left over. That's the remainder. That's 999. Then we'll do it all over again. So we need to return a string. We'll start off with an empty string here. And then what we'll do is, once we know, we're going to add to the string the numeral. So we're going to put the numeral, which is a string, but we're going to multiply this by the count. So if this is 4, it's going to, you can do multiplication with strings here. So we'll say 4 times m, so that'll be 4 m's in a row. then we'll just return this string that we created. So let's test this out. And so it's going through one at a time. If you want to see kind of what's happening, you might want to print this out. You can print count, comma, n, actually look at the numeral. So numeral, value, count, and then the, and so we start off with, we're going to iterate through, starting with m, it's worth 1,000. It fits into 49.99 4 times, and then the remainder is 9.99. That'll be our new n over here. And then we just do the process over again. How many 500s go into 9.99? Well, it is 1, leaves 4.99. How many c's go into 4.99? Well, there are 4, and so forth. And then you get the solution, and then we can test for these other cases. And I should just remove the print statement here. And there's nothing there, so that looks like it works. All right, so that is the solution to number 27.